Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranams, Haribol, Haribol. So today is the 8th of April, Monday, 2024, and we're in Radha Kund, and we're carefully approaching Gopi Gita. We're walking through the whole of the Bhagavatam, and we'll have a recap initially today, and then yesterday we were on the threshold of the 10th canto. So today we're definitely going to enter the kingdom of the 10th canto. And we'll have a kirtan first. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari O Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Girivardhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Shodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari O Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari O Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari O Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari O Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo Hare Ramo 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare Hare O Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare Hare O Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare 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 Krishna Ramo Hare Ramo 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Anitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jaya Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai, Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai, Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai, Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda. Oh Jaya Sachi Nandan, Jaya Gauda Hari, Sachi Nandan, Jaya Gauda Hari. Gaura He, 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 Gaura He. Oh Jaya Radha, Madana Mohan Radha, Madana Mohan Radhe. Jaya Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Radhe. Jaya Radha Gopinata Radha Gopinata Radhe. Oh Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe. Oh Radhe, 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 Radhe. Jai Shri Shri Guru Garanga Ganhavika Giridhari Radha Govinda Jai Ki Jai Jai Nityananda Rai Ki Jai Jai Satchinandana Gaura Hari Ki Jai Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Astotar Shishimad Shila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Astotar Shishimad Shila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Shila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Astotar Shishimad Shila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Jagat Guru Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Astotar Shishimad Shila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Paramahamsa Mahabhagavat Srila Gaurikishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Saptam Goswami Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai Jai Vaishnav Sabhaboma Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan Gaudiya Varantara Ki Jai Jai Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Ki Jai Jai Narottam Srinivas Shyamananda Prabhu Treya Ki Jai Jai Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Ki Jai Jai Shri Rup Sanatan Shibata Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Baladasa Raghunath Sad Goswami Prabhu's Ki Jai Jai Swarup Damodar Rai Ramananda Gauda Parsad Ki Jai Namacharya Shrilahardas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Sikahol Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Shri Gauda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Antadvip Mayapur Simantadvip Gautam Deep Madhyadvip Koladip Ritujit Janadip Motandip Rudradip Atmaka Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Bandiravan, Baduravan, Belvan, Lohavan, Mahavan, Madhuvan, Talvan, Kamudvan, Bahulavan, Vrindavan, Kadiavan, Brajamandal Ki Jai. Shishi Radha Krishna Gopal Gopi Go Govardhan Dwarasa Varmatmika. Shri Brajamandal Ki Jai. Shri Radha Kun Shama Kun Janga Jamuna Devi Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shrimati Brinda Devi Maharani Ki Jai. Shrimati Yogamaya Punamasi Devi Maharani Ki Jai. Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev Ki Jai. Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Sudarshan Chakra Ki Jai. Ketramandal Ki Jai. Sarva Vigna Vinasakari Shina Shingadev Bhagavan Ki Jai. Bhakta Pravar Shri Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai. Charidam Ki Jai. Chari Sampradaya Ki Jai. Chari Acharya Ki Jai. Akara Mataraj Shri Chaitanya Mat Ki Jai. Shri Keshavji Gaudiya Mat Ki Jai. Shri Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Anantakota Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Samagata Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Gauda Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. Om Agina Timirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Jina Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tarabhaktaya Namo Namaha. Priya Swarupe Daita Swarupe Prema Swarupe Sahaja Rupe Nijana Rupe Prabhueka Rupe Tatana Rupe Swavilasa Rupe Anapita Chirim Chirat Kuruna Vartinokalo Samarapaitam Unnata Ujjvala Rasam Swabhakti Shriyam Hari Purata Sundarata Dikatam Vasadipita Sadahridare Kandare Swaratu Vasachinandanaha Yam Pravajantamana Petyama Peti Krityam Dvaipayano Viraha Katara Ajuhava Putreti Tam Mayatayo Taravo Benidustam Sarvabhutam Hridim Munimanatoshmi Bhaktya Vihina Aparara Lakshay Shiptascha Karmadi Tarangamadye Kripa Maitvam Sharanam Prapana Brinde Namaste Charana Ravindam Bhajami Radham Aravinda Netram Smarami Radham Madhurashmitasyam Vadami Radham Karuna Paradam Tato Mamanasti Katyana Kapi Tavaivasmi Najivami Tvaivina Iti Vignaya Radhe Tvam Nayamam Sharanantikam. I'm first of all offering millions and millions of Dandavat pranams unto the lotus feet of my beloved Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarzara Shishimat Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And I'm offering the same again millions and millions of times unto the lotus feet of our beloved Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarzara Shishimat Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, and all our illustrious Rupanuga Guru Vargya, and all the Vaishnava and Vaishnavi devotees of the Lord. My Dandavat pranams to all of you. Vancha kalpa tarubhyascha, kripa sindhavevacha, patitanam pavnebhyo Vaishnavena namaha. So this is our third day of approaching Gopi Gita. And we began by giving honor to Nityananda Rai. We started there. Nityananda signifies Guru. When we think of Nityananda, Nityananda is Akhanda Muruguru Tattva. So when we hear the name of Nityananda, we simultaneously immediately remember our Guru Vargya and our personal gurus. And Nityananda it's been declared, Heno Nitai Binai Bai Radha Krishna Paite Nai, that through the medium of Nityananda Prabhu, we will come to the lotus feet of Sachinandan Gaurahari. Sachinandan Gaurahari is bestowing this Braja Bhav, Braja Prem. Nityananda Prabhu is preaching the pristine beauty of Shuddha Bhakti. He's not giving Braja Prem in the same way that Sachinandan Gaurahari is. He's not giving Parakya Bhav. This is not his function, his purpose. His purpose, Nityananda, is with Advaita Acharya, particularly in Bengal, to establish the preaching and the pillars of the future mission of Mahaprabhu. This actually is emanating from Bengal, and through the vigorous preaching of Nityananda Prabhu with his Dwadasa Gopals, they would roam around and enliven all of the inhabitants in the path of pure bhakti, Shuddha Bhakti, and Advaita Acharya is fully supporting that. But the path of Braja Prem, of Braja Ras. This is in the hands of Sachinandan Gaurahari, because this is Krishna directly himself. So this is what we discussed in the first day. So I'm just recapping what we've done so far to bring us up to speed of where we're up to. And then from there, we began to examine the praman for all of these truths. And we realized that Mahaprabhu has only given 8 verses, and in those 8 verses is the entirety of all Tattva Siddhanta, the Shikshastikam mantras. Everything is there conclusively. And Rupa Goswami, he is elaborating from there, from his personal direct interaction with Mahaprabhu at Prayag, when he was there with his brother Anupam for 10 days at Dashramedha Ghat, and he absorbed all of those teachings of rasa vichar. So these teachings are in the heart of Rupa Goswami, that have come from the heart of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But the very basis and foundation of all of these teachings, as we discussed, is the Srimad Bhagavatam. The Srimad Bhagavatam is the principal praman, this Amala praman. We have this beautiful verse, Aradayo Bhagavan Vijaysha, Tanayas Tat Dhamma Vrindavanam, Ramya Kachit Upasana Braja, Vaduru Vargena Vakapit. Srimad Bhagavatam, Pramanam, Amalam Prema Pumatonata. This is the essence to support the previous 2 conclusions that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has stated, that Krishna is that Supreme Lord, the son of Nanda Baba, in Vrindavan, these 2 at the beginning. And then who are the most worshipable personalities? That is the Brajavadus, that is the gopis of Vrindavan. And what is the praman for that? The praman for this is Srimad Bhagavatam. And this is the opinion of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Matam Idam Tattadaro Naparaha. So here we have the entire spectrum of all of our philosophical conclusions just in a single verse, but it's indicating Srimad Bhagavatam. So we began our Srimad Bhagavatam from the first verse, Janmadiyasya Yata Nivyada Itaratas Karatasheshua, this first verse, and we examined the essential meaning of this Satyam Paramadimahi. What is the highest truth to meditate on? Dimahi. We say in our Diksha mantras, Dimahi. What are we meditating on? Satyam, truth, Parama. What is the utmost truth that to meditate on within this glorious Srimad Bhagavatam? And we explained how Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has given 5 principal topics to like stepping stones to come to the conclusion ultimately of bhakti. The first stone or stepping stone is the power of Krishna, which is embodied in the Brahman feature. And then comes the personal feature of Narayan. This is like the second proposition. Then the third proposition is Radha and Krishna themselves, worship there. And then the fourth, most esoteric understanding is meeting and separation. Because without an understanding of meeting and separation, which is fully flowing in the Bhagavatam, we have these 5 Gits in the 10th canto, which we're going to discuss. And they are all about separation moods. All of them. There's the Venu Gita, when the gopis are sitting in their homes. Then there's Pranaya Gita, when the gopis have approached Krishna and Krishna sent them home. And then the gopis, they stand up to Krishna and they defeat him. Oh, you are Guru. We have to actually worship you first, not our husbands. This is the second Gita. And then Gopi Gita, which is what we're going to discuss. This heartbreaking call by the gopis to Krishna in a separation mood. And then there is Yugal Gita. Again, the gopis are remembering Krishna in separation. And then there is Brahmara Gita. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur actually has given another Gita he calls Viraha Gita, when Akrura takes Krishna and Balaram to Mathura. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes this is a 6th Gita. So this is all about separation. So in this, these topics that we're just recapping very briefly now, because I've already gone over this topic, just to put it all in sequence, because it's very, very logical. Really, we start from Nityananda, and we end up at the lotus feet of serving Sri Radhika. and all on the backbone of Srimad Bhagavatam. So then the final conclusion after the meeting and separation that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes is Bhakti Devi herself, devotion. Devotion is the core gift of Srimad Bhagavatam. Devotion, if we want to become devoted to somebody or something like a country or a nation, we have to be very familiar with that. So this Bhagavatam is giving us full familiarity of Krishna all the way through from the very beginning. We appreciate the Mangalacharyan verses given by Vedavyas in the beginning. This second verse, Dharma Projita Kaitavatra, etc. Third verse, Nigama Kalpa Taruvaritam Palam. This verse, these are all like Mangalacharyan verses. And then we come into Lord Brahma manifesting the wheel at Naimisharanya. This is in the fourth verse of the first canto. And then we go through, the sages are inquiring how to be happy, suprasidati. And the second chapter is describing that Savai pumsam paro dharma, yato bhakti ad hoiksaje, ahoitiki apratihata, ye atma suprasidati. Only by worshipping ad hoiksaja will the jiva find happiness. So we're scrolling through, and we spent quite a lot of time on the second canto, describing those glorious verses of Shukadev Goswami in the fourth chapter, manifesting his own devotion. So if the root desire of the bhakta is to become inspired with devotion, surely by hearing the prayers of Sukadev Goswami and hearing his devotion, then we can empathize with his devotion and understand the focus of his devotion. It's all offering prayers, beautiful prayers to Krishna. So we read that whole chapter practically, those verses, maybe 12 verses, 14 verses. And then we came to the Chatushloki yesterday. We were discussing that to some degree in the same canto, in the 9th chapter. And we went through the praman, the basic evidence that is going to be supporting all of the next truths. Unless we actually have this fund, unless we have this platform, what qualification will we have to enter the Gopi Gita? Unless we have this Tattva Siddhanta clear, then it's all going to be a little bit bewildering. Our emotions may be there, but the clarity of what is actually how it has evolved from Vedavyasa's first invocation, Janmadi Asya Yata Nivyad Itaratas, from this first verse all the way to the Gopi Gita. So then yesterday we went through all the cantos very quickly. We went through the third canto, fourth canto, which is Dhruva Maharaj and the Yagya of Daksha, etc. And Prithu Maharaj is there. And then we came into the fifth canto, which is so much description of the cosmic manifestation, completely remarkable, and Jad Bharat, etc. is there. Then the sixth canto, Ajamil and Chitraketu and Ritrasura, all these personalities are there, giving us a picture, a window. This is Krishna, giving us this picture. You have to open the door. Come in. Welcome, 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 welcome. He's going to need a chair. Hare Krishna, Hare Bol, Hare Bol, Hare Bol, Hare Bol. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Okay. Take a seat. Take a seat. Watch the cameras. Hare Bol. So then we go from the sixth canto into the glorious seventh canto, this Prahlad Charita. And again, such an insight into Krishna. We've come through Varahadev. We've come through, who else? Rishabdev. No, Nrsingadev is coming now, but I'm backtracking. The other previous, Kapila, yes, Kapila, Bhagavan. All these personalities have manifested for us to become familiar with the varieties of manifestations that the Lord exhibits in this world. to get a picture, to get an understanding of who he is. Then we can appreciate who he is in the 10th canto so much more. So then the 8th canto is Bali Maharaj, particularly, principally, and Gajendra, the elephant. Beautiful pastime there where he's offering. Again, Vishnu manifests in his 8-armed form. And then we come to the 9th canto, which are many pastimes in the 9th canto. Ambarish Maharaj, Durvasa, Ramchandra, and so many Puranic stories are there in the 9th canto. And then we described yesterday how Shukadev, he makes an inquiry about Krishna. He hears Krishna mentioned in the dynasty. This is at the end of the 9th canto. Then he inquires, who is this Krishna? So now we're getting close. So we've had these 9 cantos, and this signifies Sambandha Gyan. What is the meaning of Sambandha Gyan? This means relationship. So we've had 9 cantos to build and condense our relationship with Krishna through all of these different incredible pastimes. Every single chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam is just filled with so much inspirational moods towards Krishna. But the distinction of Krishna in Vrindavan is totally different, because now we're coming into this 10th canto. It's like the kingdom of Vrindavan is being opened. And we fully have to appreciate the nature of this distinction between Madhurya Ras and Aishwarya. Previously in the 9 cantos, it was all Aishwarya. There's one verse practically mentioned in Vritrasura when he's making beautiful prayers. He's talking about um, love, the love of the birds, the little birds for their mother. They're only waiting for the mother to give them the worm, whatever. Then the next upgrade from there is the cow, the calf, drinking its mother's milk. So that's more connected than the little birds were. The little birds, just a beak putting it in the mouth. But the calf is actually touching the mother's udder and drinking the milk like that. And then the third description he gives is of the lover who's far away and is just returning, and how the wife is waiting for the lover to return. So this is the first actual mention in the whole of these 9 cantos about an intense loving relationship. It's not really mentioned anywhere else. This is the beginning of that loving exchange, was in the 6th canto. But then it becomes covered. Because who is Shukadev speaking to? He's speaking to Parikshit Maharaj, who is a Mathuravasi. Who is always looking for Krishna, but he's looking for Krishna with that Aishwarya conception. So to purify this Aishwarya conception, first of all, we have to be fully honoring it. You can't just put it on the side margin without fully honoring the nature of that Aishwarya. Aishwarya Bhav is like a fresh mountain stream. It's so purifying for the consciousness when we actually worship that mood of Aishwarya. It's very, very purifying, but it hasn't got the sweetness that we get from the Madhurya aspect of Krishna. So the Aishwarya has Krishna, he loves the Aishwarya. Obviously, he wouldn't have it. You know, his Vaikuntha mode is there, Narayan and Dwarka and Mathura. So, but we have to fully understand the distinction between Madhurya and Aishwarya. So we might say, oh, Madhurya means the loving pastimes like a young couple in love. But this is not sufficient, because there has to be a whole mood of Aishwarya previously. It can't just be a frivolous exchange of affection. There must be much more respect in there, which is what Madhurya Ras is about. Try to understand what I'm saying. In this Rag Vartman Chandrika by Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, he describes that if you take a spoonful of salt and you put it in a glass of water, then it's very salty. So the salt represents Aishwarya and the water represents Madhurya. So in Vaikuntha, there's so much taste of the salt, which is the Aishwarya, and the water doesn't cover the salt sufficiently. You understand? So it's salty. But In Vrindavan, if you take 20 kilos sack of salt and you throw it in the Ganga, how much salt will you experience? Practically nothing. So there's far more Aishwarya actually underneath in Vrindavan than there is in Vaikuntha. But yet it's submerged in such an enormous amount of sweetness, of Madhurya, that it covers the Aishwarya. But nevertheless, the Aishwarya is there. And there's the example given that the gopis, they sometimes think and propose that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. Sometimes they say like this, but it's very, very rare. And my Gurudev has given an analogy, like if you're boiling 200 kilos of milk, occasionally a blade of grass will come to the surface, but then be submerged again by the rest of the milk. So it's like that. They've heard from Punamasi that Krishna sometimes acts like God, but they don't actually in their hearts ever believe it. Certainly Nanda Baba never believes it, neither does Yashoda. So this is the dynamic of the 10th canto. And the first 5 chapters of the 10th canto, we're still in Mathura. We're still in Aishwarya Bhav. There's prayers by the demigods, and there's the beautiful description of Kamsa driving his sister Devaki in their wedding procession. He's taken the reins and he's driving her. And then the aerial voice saying, "You fool, Kamsa, don't you know that the 8th son of Devaki is going to be your slayer, is going to kill you?" And immediately Kamsa, he wants to sever the head of his sister. So we're getting a very clear picture of the demon mode, because there's many, many, many demons in the 10th canto. Probably more demons in the 10th canto than there are in the other 9 cantos, actually. If we want to add them up, there's about 25 demons in the 10th canto, full of sweetness. But we should appreciate the nature of this demon mode. In 1 minute, Kamsa, he's the brother, stepbrother of Devaki, and joyfully taking the reins of the horse. And in 1 second, he's ready to take a sword and chop her head off. That's so brutal. This is demon. We should never underestimate the demons. Don't trust them at all. They might be so honey-tongued, but actually underneath, they're sharp as a razor. We have to be cautious. This is the age of the demons. Don't be surprised by any demonic activities that go on the planet. You know, that the government wants to kill everyone. Don't be surprised about things like that. Don't trust too much. So we come through these first 5 chapters where Devaki's sons, because Vasudeva, he's stood in front of Kamsa and said, "Don't kill her. I will bring all the sons born from her, and you can kill them directly yourself." So Vasudeva is such a respectable personality. Everybody knows he only speaks the truth, Vasudeva, and very powerful, potent personality. Kamsa, he believes this. So all of the first 6 sons of Devaki are brought to Kamsa, and Kamsa, he smashes them on a rock right in front of her. This is absolutely horrific, what he does. So we want to get the picture, because Kamsa is a great part of the Vrindavan pastimes. The general populace, they're not in Vrindavan, they're not afraid of Kamsa like that, but they're certainly in awe of him. They know his capabilities. They don't underestimate him. So Kamsa, he kills those 8 sons, which of course we know previously, when he was Kalanimi in a previous incarnation, they were his own sons that he's actually killing. This is the curse that Hiranyakashipu gave him, because Kalanimi's own sons, they took shelter of Lord Brahma and not of Hiranyakashipu. And Hiranyakashipu became very angry with this, and he cursed his own son, who was Kalanimi, who is Kamsa now, to murder his own sons in his next birth. What sort of curse is that? Only a demon can kind of conjure up a curse of that nature. Isn't it shocking that you would curse someone to murder their own sons in their next birth? This is what he does. So these sons, these 6 sons, those Sadgarbhas, they've been murdered by Kamsa. And then the pastime of the seventh child is described as a what do you call it? A miscarriage. But actually, that child is transferred to the womb of Rohini Ma. Yogamaya is instructed to transfer this child, who is Baladev, to the womb of Rohini Ma. So it appears that Devaki has a miscarriage then. That was the 7th child. And then when the 8th child is born, then by Krishna's arrangement, it's right in the dark night. This is all described in the first 5 chapters of the 10th canto. So we're getting a whole very intimate, close picture now of Krishna. It's still laced with Aishwarya because it's in Mathura. We haven't moved yet to Vrindavan. So it's still got that, but it's very much focusing on Krishna, 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 all the way through. And Krishna's mother, Devaki, Krishna's father, Vasudeva here. So we're getting this impression of Krishna. And then we know the pastime, we discuss every Janmashtami, how that child is a female child, is taken, Ekananksi, is taken across the river and Jamuna and exchanged with the daughter. No, I'm sorry. That child that is manifested in Mathura is Mathuresh Krishna, the Aishwarya aspect of Krishna. That is who is manifest. Krishna manifests in Mathura. He is not born in Mathura. He manifests actually as a 16-year-old youth with a crown and beautiful jewelry, etc. That's he manifests as that. And then Devaki requests him to become a small baby, so she wants to hide him. Even though he's the Supreme Lord, she's not confident that he'll be able to avoid the slaughter by Kamsa. She's not confident of that because she's seen how horrific Kamsa actually is. And then when Krishna becomes very small, then Vasudeva is instructed in his heart to take the baby and exchange it with the child that's been born to Mother Yashoda. So he carries it across on that dark, stormy night, across the Jamuna, into the birth chamber of Yasodama, who's given birth actually to 2 children, but she's not aware of the nature of even the gender of the child that has been born. And Vasudeva, he picks up the daughter, because 2 children are born from Mother Yashoda. The daughter, who is Ekananksi, is picked up by Vasudeva, and Mathuresh Krishna merges into the body of Brajendranandan Shamsundar. So this is the birth of Brajendranandan Shamsundar. So now we've come into Vrindavan. This is in the 5th chapter of the 10th canto. So now we've actually come into Vrindavan, and we understand the nature, because of our prayers and our careful sadhana in meditating on the previous 9 cantos. Then we have great respect for the personality of Krishna, and we can absorb the reality of the situation much more comfortably. So Vasudeva, he picks up that other daughter, who is Ekananksi, takes her back, and the guards wake up in the prison. I'm trying to make it very short because we want to move along. Wake up in the prison cell, and Kamsa comes running down, grabs that female child, and is about to smash her. And she comes up in the sky and says, "You fool, Kamsa. You know, your killer has already taken his birth." And Kamsa realizes this is Durga Ma. This is his supreme Ishtadev. So he starts worshipping with prayers. And then he feels very remorseful after this. And then he actually allows Devaki and Vasudeva to go home. But the next day, his demon friends, Kamsa's demon friends, get in his ear. Keshi, Trinavrata, all these say, don't be sure that you can trust where this child has gone, you should imprison Vasudeva and Devaki. You should keep them in chains. So again, he puts them in the dungeon. But meanwhile, Krishna has taken his birth in Braj. And this is the great celebration we always honor with Nandotsav. That celebration when Mother Yashoda, she starts to look on the beauty of this child. Now we've come into full Madhurya realm of real Vrindavan. And the love that Mother Yashoda exhibits towards her child is phenomenal. There's no description of that. In English, we say etame, the topmost vatsalya, motherly prem, is going to be manifested from Mother Yashoda. When she sees her child like as a incredible jewel. And she feels in her heart, as described by the acharyas, she doesn't even feel qualified to have such a jewel in her possession. Her humility is also discussed at length. Any great person is filled with humility. So Mother Yashoda's humility is apparent in many occasions. So she thinks this child looks like a sapphire, a beautiful sapphire gem. And she's just astonished. She just can't take her eyes away from him at all. And then all the gopis come in and they also are totally astonished. These are all Brijabasis. These are all Krishna's eternal parikars that have manifested in Vrindavan. And they're all waiting for the appearance of Krishna. Up until this point, they've been waiting for his appearance. Not consciously, because the nature of a Nityasiddha Parikar is not that they know conclusively their own identity. Otherwise, they couldn't enact the pastimes with full, like, material faith. They're going to come into this material realm, this Boma Vrindavan. So they have to be confident of their activities and actions, not thinking, oh, I'm a Nityasiddha Parikar, I don't have to do that or do this, or etc. They believe, yes, I have to go and milk the cows, I have to support my family, everything like that. It's like even a Mahabhagavat that takes his birth, like we can say, for example, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. He didn't know as a child that he was going to have perfect self-realization at the end of his life. It's not revealed like that. So Yoga Maya, she covers through her potency so that the pastimes will manifest in a very real way. So Nanda Baba, he hears about this jewel of a son. And remember that Yashoda Ma and Nanda Baba are not young. Yashoda Ma is something like about 40 years old. And they have tried to get a child. They're the king and queen of Braja. And they've tried to get a child and they haven't been successful. So now a child has manifested, not just any child, but the most incredible, most beautiful son has manifested. So all the elderly gopis, they all come and they hold the child. And then Nanda Baba hears and he comes into the birth chamber also. Generally, the father, the male, doesn't go into the birth chamber. But Nanda Baba becomes so excited at this prospect. He's waited all his life to see the manifestation of Krishna. So there's this whole like build up. Actually, if we consider the whole Srimad Bhagavatam, it should be made musically. It's like a symphony. You know, a symphony? It's a long progression of sound from the very beginning to the very end. If it was a symphony, now we would have, the music would have changed its tone once it comes into this Madhurya realm. It's nothing but sweetness in the atmosphere, nothing but joy and festivity. Just like in Giriraj Govardhan here. Every time we come to Govardhan, there's always a mood of festivity, isn't it? We see it directly. There's always festive music going on. There's always so many people are doing parikrama of Giriraj Govardhan. There's always that mood of sweetness and joy is happening in Govardhan. Similarly, in the whole of Braj, this mood is apparent. This is Madhurya. But don't forget what we already discussed about what is underneath this Madhurya is so much Aishwarya, so much respect. Even though they might climb on Krishna's shoulders later on, they still have the deepest, deepest, deepest respectful relationship with him. It's not like a frivolous thing at all, like we have in the material world. We mustn't cross those boundaries. So in this Nandotsav, this is such a beautiful celebration. Nanda Baba is overjoyed. Nanda Baba is such a generous personality. He has a heart of gold completely. And he's just giving away hundreds of thousands of cows again and again and again. He keeps telling the gopas, you go and give more cows, more cows, more cows, and make sure they've all got gold plates on their horns and got beautiful silk wraps on their backs. And he's just giving, giving, giving such quantities, endless quantities, without any consideration. And so many gifts are being given. But previously to the birth of Krishna, Mother Yashoda, she very carefully arranged gifts for all the elderly gopis and all the gopas, especially according to their personalities and unique qualities. This particular sari for this particular person, etc., etc. So she had a whole storehouse with all these gifts that she had arranged to, but she was incapacitated. She couldn't get off the bed. So Nanda Baba, he saw all these gifts and he didn't know what to do with them. Nanda Baba didn't know who they belonged to. So he saw Rohini Ma walking on the roof. Rohini Ma is a wife of Vasudev. Vasudev has 18 wives. So this is the wife of Vasudev that lived all the time in Vrindavan. Well, most of the time while Balaram was growing up. And she's in the mood of what's a heroine that is called Prosita Bhartika. This heroine mood should not wear extravagant cloth, etc., or makeup or earrings, etc. So she should be very plain and simple because her husband is away. So that's what this heroine means, Prosita Bhartika. The husband is away. So she's like that on the roof. So Nanda Baba, he spies her and he calls her, oh Ma, come down, come down. I don't know who to give these gifts to, but you are with Mother Yashoda all the time. You know who they all belong. Yes, yes, no problem, Baba. So immediately Rohini Ma, she begins handing out all of these beautiful jewels and saris, etc., to all the Brijbasis. So there's a whole mood of just abundantly giving, giving, giving. This is the mood of Nanda Baba. And at the same time, when we read in the commentaries, the whole of Prithivi, Mother Earth, is in a mood of giving at this time. It's described how all the seasons are manifesting in their sweetest way and how the astrological constellations are perfectly aligned for auspiciousness. And the fires, for example, of the rishis meditating are burning perfectly. They're not wavering in any wind. Everything, the whole atmosphere is completely auspicious. And this is how Krishna, he manifests in this way. So everything is, this is Madhurya. It's a whole nother realm. This is why I say, if one day a whole orchestra is at our disposal, we can have the orchestral sounds to this and have it embellished through music. How? Because music has the ability to enhance emotional flavors and so on. So this could actually manifest that this musical accompaniment to the beginning of the Bhagavad, and this is only sweetness. This is just Madhurya Ras is here. So the Nanda Baba, he immediately demands that the town criers, this is only 1 o'clock in the morning. Brijabasis, just like Brijabasis today, don't have any respect for Tamagun at all. It doesn't matter what day or time it is. If they want to celebrate, they'll celebrate. And they don't respect Tamagun like the Western people. We respect it very much. Oh, don't make a noise at night. We're all sleeping. But Brijbasis, they don't have that respect for Tamagun. They know it's the mode of ignorance. So he tells the town criers to immediately proclaim the birth of this son. So then all the Brijbasis, they all gather and they have darshan of this beautiful child. And it's described by in Ananda Vrindavan Champu by Kavi Kanpur, how when they see the child, Then they return and they put on their very best clothes to come and celebrate the birth of this child. And all are in their very best attire. And then there's a beautiful celebration where they begin to take the milk products of yogurt and milk itself and begin to nicely push it on each other. And then haldi, turmeric, also is put on each other. So they're having this amazing festival where the courtyard of Nanda Baba is just flowing in yogurt and milk and turmeric. And so much mood of opulence, pure opulence, real opulence is there. It's described that Lakshmi Devi, she wants to enhance the situation, but she can't find anywhere to place all her jewels. So she just comes in the gutters and puts all her rubies and emeralds and diamonds in the gutters. So all the milk and yogurt is flowing through these jeweled gutters in Braj. This is the nature of Braj when Krishna manifests. This is the nature of Madhurya. This is the principle that I'm wanting to share at this point, the complete contrast to where we've come from of the mood of grandiose importance and armies and kings and so on. This is where we've come from in the 9 cantos. We've come through many Puranic stories of this, but now we've come into the simplicity of pure opulence. And what is the heart of pure opulence? It's actually generosity of spirit, that complete abundance in giving. So Nanda Baba, he's just giving. Vasudev, meanwhile, we know he couldn't give because he was still bound in the dungeon of Kamsa, but mentally he gave. And later on, when he goes to Dwarka, then he actually manages to give all those cows. But Nanda Baba is the one, and Yashodama. Yashodama, I said, had a whole storehouse of gifts. So this mood of giving. So this is so pleasing to baby Krishna. And here we're coming into the real picture of the Lord. This is the Lord we've been worshipping through the first 9 cantos, but the Lord of sweetness, the Lord of Braj, this mood, this sweetness. This is what the 10th canto contains. So now we move along in the different chapters, and Nanda Baba, he feels the responsibility to go and pay his taxes now, because now he's got this gem of a son, and he doesn't want to get the evil eye of Kamsa coming into Vrindavan to demand any taxes. So he very carefully loads up all the wagons with various milk products and so on to go to see his dear, it's his brother actually, Vasudev. They are like cousin brothers. And to deliver his taxes to King Kamsa to keep Kamsa pacified to some degree and not to be looking to Braj. But when they all, the cowherd boys as well as Nanda Baba, when they're in Mathura giving the taxes, then Vasudev, he says very prophetically, he says, quickly go back. You know, Kamsa's a demon and he will send demons to Vrindavan. You have to quickly go back and protect your countrymen. So in the meantime, Kamsa's already sent the first demon. So who is the first? Putana, Rakshasi. Jiva Goswami describes that this Rakshasi eats babies like piles of rice. Can you imagine a pile of rice and each one is a baby? She eats babies like that. She is a true Rakshasi. And she has the strength of 10,000 elephants. She is so powerful. And Kamsa has requested, he can't order her, because Putana is the only demon that Kamsa couldn't defeat. All the other demons he defeated. Trinavrata, Keshi, Vyomasura, Aristasura, Bakasura, Agasura. All of these demons Kamsa defeated. But with Putana, she was so powerful, Kamsa realized, I must make a truce with her. We must support each other in our evil ways. So he makes a truce. And as soon as he's heard the words of his ministers, all these demons, saying, no, you should try to search out this child and kill him, then he requests Putana to go into the village of Vrindavan and hunt out this newborn child and kill him. So Putana, she's a 12-mile high Rakshasi. So she reduces herself by her mystical ability to become a very charming, beautiful, like from Swagaloka, so beautiful person. And all Nanda Baba and all the cowherd men, they're all away. They're all in Mathura. But Putana is still afraid of the um, archers, they call the Danur, the bowmen of Vrindavan, because it's described they have Narayan astras in their arrows. So she's afraid of the. That's why she becomes a beautiful woman, because she has to do something to hypnotize everyone so she won't be pierced by those Narayan arrows. So she comes in while Nanda Baba's away, and she comes into the house of Mother Yashoda, and all the Brijabasis that are still there, they are thinking, this must be Shriji, this must be Lakshmi Devi coming from Vaikunta to have darshan of this beautiful child, because she's just so extraordinarily beautiful. And she totally mesmerizes everyone with her beauty. And she comes straight into the room where Mother Yashoda is sitting there breastfeeding Krishna. And she, just like any Brijbasi mother, she just requests the child to offer her milk. This is what Brijbasis do. They pass the child around amongst different mothers. It's not like in Western culture, you just have one mother and that's it. But in Vrindavan, it's much more open and sweet. And so she requests to give some milk to this beautiful child. And it's described that Krishna, he knows, of course. Now we have to understand this very importantly. I described it yesterday. Krishna is Sarva Gyan. Sarva means all. Gyan means knowledge. He's all knowing. Sarva Gyan. So he knows he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. At the same time, he's Mugdata. That means he doesn't know anything. He has to be in this ignorant stage to perform his pastimes with sincerity and with whole heart and vigor. If he was thinking all the time, I'm the Supreme Personality of Godhead, how could Mother Yashoda bind him later on? How could any of these pastimes happen? So he's covered by his Leela Shakti. This is Purnamasi. She's going to cover him. So within a mood of ignorance. At the same time, Krishna knows who this Rakshasi is. And it's described that he closes his eyes. And the Acharyas, they give 19 reasons why he closes his eyes. He doesn't want to see himself kill a child. He doesn't want to look at the horrific face of a Rakshasi. So many descriptions are there given by the Acharyas. But then we know the pastime that Putana, she takes baby Krishna on her breast, and baby Krishna, with his lips only, he grabs hold of the breast. And there's some anger in Krishna because he knows how many children this Rakshasi has actually killed. And he holds very tightly with his lips, and he starts sucking the milk out of Putana's breast, along with the poison, and then along with her life air. And Putana becomes totally aghast. She realizes that this child has so much strength. She tries to pull the child off her breast. She has the strength of 10,000 elephants. She can't pull this little baby off her breast. What's happening here? This seems like Aishwarya, but it's not Aishwarya because it's contained in what we call Nara Lila. Nara Lila is human-like pastimes. It's human-like because none of the Brijbasis, Rohini Ma and Yashoda Ma, who are watching this, they don't know Putana's power and strength. So it just looks like she's just trying to pull him off. So it's contained within the Nara Lila. It's not an Aishwarya pastime. Understand? It's not, because the residents aren't considering it so. We will consider it so because we're looking at it differently. We're looking at it through Shastra. But the Brijbasis that are there, just like lifting Govardhan Hill, is the same. Who would imagine that lifting Govardhan Hill is not an Aishwarya act? But it's not, because none of the residents thought that Krishna was actually lifting the hill. They thought they were, or their sticks were, etc. So Putana is trying to pull this child off her breast, and then she screams, and then she runs outside, and her huge 12-mile form, it describes, manifests. And Krishna is still holding onto her breast. And she takes like 2 steps, 12 miles. That means 24 miles. She's 12 miles high, so 2 steps, 24. She's actually outside Braj. And then she crashes to the ground, 12 miles, and everything under her is crushed, including the most amazing orchard full of fruits. But this orchard belongs to who? It's actually Kamsa's orchard. So she crashes on Kamsa's orchard. And it's described by the acharyas, even in her death, she's killing people. This is how evil she is. But then Mother Yashoda, when this happens, she just faints. She can't even cope with what. Rohini Ma also, just completely, they just faint. And all the gopis, they race after where has Krishna gone with this Rakshasi. And they have to run a long way. It's like 24 miles. She's taken these 2 steps, practically on the very fringes of Braj. Krishna doesn't actually go outside of Braj. But they see this body, and they see the breast on the top. It's like a huge mountain. 12 miles is from like here to where? Not to Mathura. It's how far is it to Mansiganga from here? It's about how many? 5 kilometers. So double. So practically the whole length, actually, of Giriraj Govardhan is the size of Putana. So the gopis are running so fast to find out where, terrified, because the jewel of their life has just been snatched by this Rakshasi. But they see from a distance that Krishna is just playing happily on the breast still. The breast is standing up like a hill on the body of Putana. And they see Krishna deliberately stayed on the breast so that he knew the gopis would see where he was on the pinnacle there. So they come, and it's described by Kavi Kanpur. They form a chain because they want to get the baby back as fast as possible. And also because all of them want to fondle the baby as he comes along. They all want to be with Krishna as he comes along. This is all sweetness, sweetness, sweetness. It's just loaded with sweetness. So then finally the baby comes back into the arms of Mother Yashoda. She can't even comprehend what's happened. She's so bewildered. Her first thoughts are, it's described that she doesn't think that she's worthy of having such an immensely beautiful child. Therefore, this child has been snatched from her. And we can't understand a mother's love. Actually, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he starts to describe the love of Mother Yashoda. And then halfway through his commentary, he stops. He says, there is no words to describe Mother Yashoda's love. I cannot write any more. There are no words to describe her love. Her love is just beyond words. This is the love of Vatsalya Bhav. This is our introduction to the Gopi Gita. We are hearing a lot about Vatsalya Bhav of Yashoda Ma and Nanda Baba. Their Vatsalya Bhav is just overwhelming. And this is drowning the sadhak in moods of what is pure priti, what is pure love and affection. This is what we're understanding. So finally, baby Krishna comes back into the arms of Mother Yashoda. And then the gopis, it's described, they begin to the purificatory process with a cow's tail, etc., chanting so many mantras, putting them all over. Mother Yashoda, she can't do that. She's just too overwhelmed by the trauma of having her child taken away. And the gopis tell her, quickly, you put baby Krishna on your breast. Then actually both of you will settle down. Once the breast is flowing with milk, then both will become peaceful. So this is what they do like that. So this is just the introduction to Madhurya. And Madhurya is going to flow through the next chapters of the different demons that Krishna is going to confront. But it's all packed and loaded with this extraordinary atmosphere of utter sweetness and beauty and bliss, which is, who is Krishna? Krishna is that beauty. Krishna is the repository of all beauty in existence. He's the origin of beauty. Lavanamrita. Lavanamrita means the very origin of beauty. We all are attracted to anything beautiful. What to speak of the origin of beauty? Can we imagine the origin of beauty? How spellbinding it is. So Krishna is that origin of beauty. So all the Brijbasis are totally transfixed. But this is Madhurya. So this is as much as I wanted to say today to explain the kingdom of Braj through the doorway of this 10th canto after the first 5 chapters goes into full deep oceans of Madhurya Ras. So that's where we've come. And tomorrow we'll walk through some of the other demons and we'll eventually come in the 20th chapter to the rainy season. The rainy season is like a break actually from all the Krishna's childhood pastimes. And then begins Venugita. And then begins Pranaya Gita, and then begins Gopi Gita. So we're moving along. We're progressing to this sweetness of Gopi Gita. This is how sweet is Gopi Gita. Gopi Gita is far more sweet than this. This is just the beginning, the prelude. So, Brajendanandan Sham Sundar ki jai, Putana Rakshasi ki jai. Because when they actually come back, Nanda Baba, just to complete the pastime, they think that they're in a different country. They just don't. This mountain wasn't here before. These huge hills were not here before. What's happened? All the coward boys, they're completely bewildered. And then they start to recognize it. My God, this is a massive demon. So Upananda takes charge of all the lower class Brijbasis and chops up that demon with axes. And then they burn the demon. And it's described the fragrance of the burning body of Putana is like agru. It's like the sweetest incense conceivable because Krishna, he touched the body of Putana. Therefore, she's totally purified. And we have this wonderful verse, Aho bakayam stanakala kutam, jikhamsa yapayed abhizadvi, labhe katim datri uchitam datanyo, kalam va dayalum sharanam rajema. This is describing that the destination of Putana was to become a maidservant in Goloka Vrindavan because she actually took the form of a mother, even though she's so evil, but she took a form of a mother to Krishna. Krishna accepted that form as a mother. So if it is in Golok, not Gokul, Golok is the peripheral of Gokul. Gokul is the heart, is the center, but Golok is the peripheral. So in Golok is where Putana was awarded a birth as a maidservant of Krishna. And this verse, actually, that we've just said, was one of the verses that attracted Shukadev Goswami to come back to the ashram of his father when he heard of the compassionate nature of Krishna. This is, again, Madhurya, the immensity of the compassion that he shows to this demon, that he gives her the birth of a maidservant, even though she came to murder him. So this is phenomenal. So many other things, but this is just the first stage in our tasting Madhurya Prem, which is what the whole, not the whole, up until about the 35th chapter of the 10th canto is going. And then again, we go back to Aishwarya in Dwarka. Srila Gurudev ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Ananta Kota Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Nitai Gora Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gora Hari Bol, Nitai Gora Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jaya Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Radhe Jaya Radha Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Shri Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Shri Radhe Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol Vanchakalpa Turubhyascha Kripa Sindhavevacha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnave Namo Namaha Vaishnavas ki jai, Shri Gurudev ki jai, Nityananda Rai ki jai, Sachinandana Gaur Hari ki jai, Gaur Premanande